You're listening to the smartest guys in marketing, the best show on the planet for client businesses to learn about traffic, funnels, sales, conversions, and marketing coolness. Chris and Taylor are the founders of Traffic and Funnels, a digital marketing consultancy helping you get paid clients from cold traffic daily. Now, here are your hosts, Chris and Taylor.
What's up, everybody? Taylor Welch, Chris Evans here. Welcome to Smartest Guys in Marketing podcast. Taylor, how you doing today, man?
Dude, I'm living the dream. How are you?
I'm so pumped to record this podcast. This is going to be a really important podcast.
I know people can't see you if they're driving their car, but you look pumped.
I am so pumped.
Like the hair's on point.
Hair's on point. Beard's on point. But this is a super important podcast that we're recording today. And it is what to do when all of your
breaks. It's the SHIT word.
Yeah. We want to say it out loud in case there's kids in the car.
Yeah, definitely.
But this is really important, especially if you want to grow a very successful business. You got to have the mojo to know what to do when all of your stuff breaks, right? So what are we talking about in this podcast, Taylor?
We're going to talk about how we hedge our bets, the things that we do to make sure that things aren't broken. I remember when we first started Traffic and Funnels, like the very first time we started running traffic, I was in Dallas with my wife on a business trip because she made me go with her. And I loved it because she's awesome. And we had like 2%. Yeah. So we were talking and we had like a 2% opt-in rate. You remember this?
Oh my gosh.
If you're new to marketing, 2% isn't very good. It's pretty bad, actually.
It's like literally the worst thing ever.
I was like, what in the world's happening? Like Chris, the man Evans, the traffic master himself, is basically running our ads and we're not getting any leads. And then I go to the opt-in. I go to the opt-in page and the page is like a 401 or 404, like doesn't work. And it's like, that makes sense. So the bigger you get and the more you depend on your stuff working, especially if you make a good living from what you do, you got to make sure you catch these things before they happen, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about that. And then we're also going to talk about, you're going to talk about how to know if you even should fix something.
Yeah. Many times you shouldn't fix broken things and they'll actually cost you a lot of money.
Which is crazy. That's very counterintuitive.
Yeah. People are like, what kind of scammers are these guys? No, but it's true. So what's the first thing that we need to tell these folks?
I'll tell you guys how we do it, if that's okay.
That's
so
okay.
If you've ever read the Checklist Manifesto, then you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, you should pick it up on Amazon. It's this surgeon who's talking about how we came up with checklists. It's not something that's been around forever.
Like how not to leave scissors in their stomach when you sew them up?
Yeah, more like have you washed your hands, things like that. Things that sound so basic that it's like, why would you need a checklist? It's the same, the airlines took this from them as well. It was like pre-flight checklist. And it's basic stuff like make sure this door is closed, make sure this is turned on, and things that when you do it a lot and you have a lot on your plate and a lot on your bandwidth, you need the extra help. So we'll have things like make sure that the opt-in pixels on the thank you page. Make sure that the landing page works. Go through the funnel and click all the links in the emails. And it's amazing like how many funnels we've launched and we'll get emails back being like, this link in the email takes me to Google. It's like, what the crap?
Yeah, don't worry guys. We're like super professional.
We are. But yeah, we move really quickly. And so now we've got checklists and, we've just stood up a brand new opt-in page and everything looked amazing. And then I had one of our guys check the thank you page and there was no pixel on it. Well, that's a problem because we wouldn't.
It's a big problem.
So we were able to fix that before. And I think like one of the things here too is the power of not only checklists, but the power of redundancy. There's safety in numbers. And when you have one funnel, if something in that funnel goes down, you're screwed.
Yeah.
And we talk a lot about do one thing, focus. And that's true. You want to focus on one thing until you get it up to where it's working. But with Facebook, Chris, talk about kind of our recent adventures in Wonderland with Facebook.
Wonderland, that is. Yes. Well, recently we had our account shut down. And most people won't tell you that. Yeah. One of our account, our primary account that we were running all of our traffic out of.
Because the majority of our traffic is very untrustworthy.
That is not true at all.
People think spam.
They're like, who is a spammer? Yeah. So our account got shut down, and most people wouldn't tell you that, but we will. And we have multiple accounts ready to go, though. Like they're fired up, they're ready. We got pixels placed, so that if something like that does happen, we're ready to hit the ground running with our backup accounts. And especially, I want to make a note real quick, Taylor. Like, we were able to get to $100,000 a month with one funnel, and I think most anybody who's a true expert can do that. And so there is also a thing of like knowing where you're at in your business before you start getting too crazy with redundancy and the safety in numbers situation. Because especially if you're a one-man team or a two-man team like Taylor and I were before we started hiring people, when there's a lot less for you to manage, it makes it safer. Does that make sense? Because if you're a one-man team or a two-man team, and what most people teach you to do is go out and say, hey, have 3 funnels, have 4 opt-ins, all these different offers and all these different things. And so there's so much happening. There's so many moving parts that it's easy for you to lose track and not really know what's broken. So as you're starting out, and especially if you're not to 50K a month, 100K a month, you have to keep things as simple as possible so that you know what is actually broken in your business. And so that's really what, we talk about, having those main levers in your business to know what's broken, what needs to be fixed, as opposed to having a million different levers in your business that you shouldn't have or you shouldn't pay any attention to at this point.
Yeah, so you're basically saying you should have a grid of what's even worth fixing.
Absolutely.
So for us, like our grid, it changes over time. Once you get to 100K a month, and then once you get to 300, once you get to $500,000 a month, we haven't gotten past that at this point. But when we do, we can come back and tell you about it. But like for us right now, at the revenue level that we're doing, there are now some things that we have a team in place, and we're going back, and things that weren't worth fixing before are worth fixing now.
Yeah.
But at the beginning, man, it wasn't the color on the website. It wasn't what this font looked like. It was literally, how do we perfect our offer, get leads coming in and getting them on the phone, and enrolling people that need us.
And that's a really great point. You bring that up. And there's an interesting conversation. I was tagged in a group recently. Someone had screenshotted our homepage on our website. It was just like a opt-in that we threw up. And so I think when people are beginners, when they're focusing on the wrong thing, right? Because people are like, they're like super like just breaking down this page and why we did this and like really thinking about it way too hard, where it's like, we literally just threw up that picture, that opt-in, that button, because that's not a primary source of flow for our business. So it's not a big thing that we would spend a lot of time on.
Yeah, they were like, I would like to know the science behind why Taylor is standing looking to the left and why Chris is looking to the right. And I was like, there is no science.
No science at all.
It was just the fastest picture we could find to put there. Yeah.
Yeah. So like a beginner or someone who doesn't have the right people in their life coaching them, they would be spending time on screwing around with that certain page, that certain opt-in, or it's not a primary leverage point for our business, right? We could possibly like maybe get a 10% lift on leads that specific thing generates, but at some point, but at this point, it's not a profitable investment of our time and energy.
Right. Yeah. The most profitable things to fix are things that are going to drive your cash flow down or up. That's what you got to pay attention to.
Yep. And the first place to start is the least amount of time spent. Yep. Especially, again, if you're a smaller team, your time is very, very crucial in what you spend time on. Because once you start getting into that stuff, it's like, man, opens up so many vortex, like black holes, to where you end up spending so much time on things that just don't really matter. So we'll put this in the show notes too. I did this video, this audio on the things that you shouldn't fix. And this is part of this conversation too, that you have to listen to. So you have to identify what are those main key things in my business that are actually driving revenue, the big leverage points. And that's what gets all of your attention. If not, you're going to go on making not very much money. You might have a very sweet opt-in page or blog layout or YouTube graphic design or whatever, but that's not actually driving revenue. And that's another case in point where someone posted on our fan page, like, well, how can I believe you? You only have 6,000 fans. It's like, how do I know you're legit? And how do I know you're actually making this amount of money? And that's just like, again, it's such a beginner problem or mindset, because that does not equate to revenue.
Yeah, I was applying for a mortgage loan, and they wouldn't let me because we only had 6,000 fans on Facebook.
Yeah.
Sorry, not enough likes. Not enough likes. You can't afford it. No, I cashed in the bank. We'll talk about this in another episode, but maybe actually the next episode. But people confuse vanity metrics with the bank account all the time.
Yep.
All
the time.
We were just at a conference. You were just at a conference, and you were talking with somebody that everybody listening to the show would know them. First name, last name. You listen to this person. You are very familiar with this person. And you were hanging out with them. I was like, how was it? And you're like, well, we make way more money than he does. I was like, what? No way. You can't really believe like what people actually are doing, because with the way that marketing is, like, people kind of put out this aura of vanity metrics. It's really deflection. Yeah. And you never know, like, are they really living this lifestyle or not? Mm-hmm. So we're the guys that will tell you, yeah, we got our Facebook account banned, and we'll tell you like revenue numbers, and we'll tell you all of it. It's just, why not?
Yeah. People mistake platform currency for legit currency, right? They think that if they have a certain amount of fans or a certain amount of people on their email list or followers on Twitter, like that equals money.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. We were making $100,000 a month in revenue before hardly anybody knew who we were. It's because we leveraged the right things. We leveraged our message to the right market, and that just had a very simplified process to onboard those people as clients. And that's all you need. You don't have to be like some guru in your market. You just have to know your market extremely well. And so that's part of like when things break in our business, we know the right things when they break and how to fix them. And that's what you have to identify in your business. What are those 3, 4, 5 things, the main things in your business that when they're broken, you know exactly what they are, because those are the things that actually attribute mostly to your revenue.
Yes. Very well said, Christopher.
That was beautiful.
Very good.
So guys, put that on an image.
Yesterday we just had our 13th client hit 7 figures. And we broke down a little bit of how we're able to, I think honestly, like, we're the guys in the industry that probably have like the highest success rate with the people we take on as clients. And there's a reason for that. So next episode, we're going to be breaking down probably the top number one superpower that Chris and I have. This superpower took us from 2 or 3K to, $400K plus a month in about 15 months. And it's taking our clients to the same transformational levels as well. So we're going to break that down, what it looks like. It's very simple. You're going to be tempted to be like, oh, that's it. But if you implement it, it'll make you a lot of money. And Chris, do you have anything to add to that before I?
Yeah, it's simple, but it's crucial. And it really ties into this episode too. Like, when your stuff breaks, if you don't have this one thing, you're screwed.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's going to be good. So you want to tune in. And just so you guys know, we are broadcasting behind the scenes right now as we record this podcast to our free private Facebook groups. If you want to see behind the scenes and what it's really like with me telling Chris what to do and, having to man the ship, then you should go find our Facebook group and request access. We give a ton of value. We uncover things. We tell people like it is. And if you're a fan of this podcast, if you like this show, then you also get to see a little bit behind the scenes. What happens when we push stop on the recorder and the real magic happens.
That sounded very sexual.
It definitely is not.
I just want to clarify that it's not.
We'll put the link for the group in the show notes as well. And then we have a gift for them as well. And Chris, you want to tell them where that's at?
The best gift you will ever receive. Oh, no, hold on. Let me just tell you. Let's talk about this in the next podcast. The gift that you just received for your birthday from your Grammy.
Oh, dude. Okay.
Oh no, we have to save it for the next podcast. We're out of time.
Next podcast. Cool.
You guys, this is pretty funny. So go check out the next podcast. Gift is at trafficandfunnels.com/gift. We have a cool little bundle for you there on how to get clients, all kinds of great stuff in there. So go there, get that, and then we'll have all the notes and nifty stuff below this podcast.
And put a comment on iTunes which one you like better. Me or
Does that even matter anymore?
I just want to know if people like me better than you. That's all I care about.
Bro, you don't have to ask people. I mean, it's very evident that they like me more.
All right, we'll see you next show.
See ya.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.